down the street. I called on the holiday for a tree that was about to murder somebody. So thank you very much for that. My questions concerning I know it's all over the city, but right now, at this point in time, I'm concerned with the second ward. My demolitions, they don't seem to be going as fast as they were. They kind of dropping off. And I know we had a major project that was headed for Flint Road. And my constituents are calling me every day. You know, they see the consumer cuts, they see the water gone, and they see what they see, but they still see the same blighted house. Has the not blight, but has demolition
dollars.
So we're at the point we're looking for dollars.
Yeah, I didn't mention that, but that's another area where there are demolition dollars from around the state that haven't been spent. And if they have another round, we're certainly going to pursue that because we have done a good job in that area. And we know there's still needs out there, as you point out.
Okay. Do you think that this is going to be picking up soon, like ASAP?
I don't believe so, because I think that's a process that they have to go through to put that money out there, and they don't yet know how much is available because other communities haven't spent it. But when it is, we'll go after it and try to address those demolition needs. And we know that's not just the second ward. I mean, we've got major issues with demolition still, and we have knocked down a lot of houses.
Okay, one other question. Spot shot. This is February. Where do we stand on that?
I think I need Chief. Can you speak to spot shotter, Chief? Because I don't know the status.
I know we've been waiting so months of rolling back.
Spot shotter is still in the preliminary stages, and the company is still evaluating the positions of the sensors. And once that is done, they'll start installation. But that's time and effort that the company has to do their diligence and put them in the strategic locations that they need to be.
Thank you, Chief. Crime officers, as the governor, see real close to helping us out with additional officers.
I believe so. And you know they have helped us already. The state police have been in here with squads. We have spoken to them about expanding those squads, also expanding what they would do, what they would actually do. I think there are some protocol issues that need to be worked out between Flint Police and the state police. And then the other thing I'd say is if they make that investment, that's where they want to make sure that people can get arrested and they can get housed. And so that's why we need a plan. Again, it's a criminal justice system, and what we have to do is make sure it's functioning as a system so that we can have the impact on crime that I know you want in your area.
Thank you. Water. There's talk of selling our water plant, our sewer plant. Why would we sell something that bring money into us that we have control? Why would you sell your assets such as water?
Again, I think this was something blown out of proportion, sent to the Flint Journal. The only thing I've said from the beginning is everything's on the table. We're doing an inventory of all of our assets, and certainly in order to get some revenue so we can address some of the serious issues in the community, I think we'd be irresponsible if we didn't look at our options. What I'm primarily concerned with both water and sewer is that we operate efficiently into the future. We're paying much too much overtime. I think these things to need to be addressed. And that's what we're trying to do, is address them as a whole. We're not just walking out and saying, we're going to sell the water plant. That didn't come from me, and it won't come from me. Okay?
Okay. Thank you,
Let's have one. Number one, I heard you talk a little bit about infrastructure and working on. My concern is dealing with infrastructure, especially in the northeast section of the city, far north end, and you know, and economic development on the far north end also too. But my concern is with the scrap metal, and you know, the theater that's going on with all of the houses and the businesses throughout the city of Flint, but especially on the north side. And I was wondering, have you had any conversations with the county and also with the state to look at, you know, targeting these scrap metal companies? Because a lot of them inside the city, we have things in place, but we know that they're just going right on the other side of the city limits, and they're taking a lot of the scrap metals out of these homes. And some of these areas still have areas that were very still viable, and we could actually maybe rehab them or do something with them. But with all of the scrap metal that's going on right now, it's really a deterrent for economic development, especially on the far north end. And I was just wondering, do you have any plans or any concerns or talking to somebody about possibly looking at out-county scrap metals?
Well, again, the chief has taken the lead on this. We are arresting people, I think I heard him say daily, who have stolen scrap. You point out that it isn't just Genesee County. I mean, some of that's going beyond the county and being sold. So I think, again, this is the value of putting a plan together where you have county law enforcement, you have the prosecutor, you have judges, you have the sheriff, you have city police, and we come up with a strategy, you know, not just around scrap, but I mean, I'm not downplaying that as an issue. It's a major issue, and as you point out, it's an economic development piece. I mean, I've talked to several institutions of faith that have had their air conditioning system, and then they replace it and it's gone again. So a major problem, no question about it, but we are trying to address it with the resources we have right now. We just definitely need more resources. We need more bodies on the street, you know. So we will do it, and I'd welcome any input from you going down the line.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. First of all, I want to tell you that I appreciate you having had this particular forum, because I think you were required to have this forum, but the ward forums and reaching out to the community and trying to see some level of input from the community as we're going through this process. First thing, the audit, we received the audit back or the city received the audit back in December. Typically, we had an audit presentation to council where council had an opportunity to ask specific questions of the auditors. Is that something that you foresee the council having an opportunity to do in the near future?
Yes, we're going to schedule that for the March meeting, actually. It'll be on the agenda for your March meeting.
That's good. I appreciate that. Second thing, financial information. When we ran a show, we always put the budget to actual information every month online so that it was an open and transparent process that we were going through. You can see the good, the bad, and the ugly, all there in black and white. I know that I've communicated with you and Jerry Ambrose about getting budget to actual information to see how we are spending our dollars. Is that something that's going to be available relatively soon?
I'll talk about that with Jerry after the meeting, and we'll follow up, okay? But we can do it. We can do it. Yeah.
Okay. And then my last question is, I keep hearing the $600,000 number thrown around, and I'm trying to figure those numbers out in my head with the things that you've eliminated and the 6 months worth of savings for the ombudsman's office and the civil service office, and the pay that was cut from the city council and the mayor. And I can't get it to add up to $600,000 from the pay between what was cut and what was, your salary.
I'd be glad to have you sit down with us, because I asked for a net figure, because I obviously brought people in. The other thing, I've mentioned a couple of times is even folks that I've brought in have been on loan. Our infrastructure and development director has loaned himself down.
I thought I saw a contract for him now.
Just did it this week, but he's been working pro bono since the beginning. And, but again, I can have finance go over those figures with you.
Can we?
Pardon me?
We can?
Yes.
Good, because I would.
Sure.
Thank you.
Just real quick, Mike, you talked about public safety being a priority. Where are we with our 911 center and upgrading it to 800 megahertz because a combined unified effort in our community doesn't work with our current system?
Great question, and yes, we're working again with state police. We have met with the county 911. This 800 megahertz issue is a major issue because, you know, our communications equipment goes silent December 31st of this year. And normally it takes about 18 months if you talk to state police and you talk to Motorola, who's one of the chief vendors, to kind of get things in place, especially if you have to have a tower. So I've got a team that is working on that. Liz Murphy is leading that team, and we're meeting, literally she's on the phone daily because we're on a very tight timeline to execute on this one, and it's a major deal. And it does relate also to 911 consolidation. And that's another one, I think, when I talked about EBIT that I didn't mention, but that there is potential there. You know, the county is not eligible for EBIT per se, but because we are, we work on cooperative agreements with them to help both units. So we are paying close attention, though, to the 800 megahertz issue.
Thank you. Councilman Waller?
Thank you. Mike, in your presentation tonight, you had mentioned the Carroll County water pipeline, and that the city is certainly in support of this project. And I have a lot of residents in the 5th Ward, as you heard the other night at the ward meeting, some raising issues about concerns with the water pipeline. And as an elected official and an advocate for residents in the 5th Ward, I'm not privileged to a lot of information and discussions and meetings where this important matter is being discussed. And if we're going to create an atmosphere of inclusion, and I'm an elected official for those residents, I think it's very critical that I be a part of those meetings of discussions. Now, I was privileged to, and I appreciate, the invitation to be a part of the Public Safety Committee meeting. And I did participate in one meeting. There was actually 2 meetings. The very first meeting for the Public Safety meeting, I got an email a day before that meeting, and so from a person I'd never heard of before. I didn't make that first meeting. I did make the second meeting. And at the second meeting, there was a plan, 45-day plan, that was in full discussion, and I had a lot of questions at that meeting, you can recall, regarding a lot of things that was discussed and implemented in that plan. And I just think it's really important that I, as a member of the council, be a part of those critical discussions as it relates to Carroll County Water Pipeline Project, public safety, infrastructure, and other things. And I know you have committees set up to do certain things, but I don't really see that working for me. And I'm just speaking personally for me as I respond to residents in the 5th Ward. And I also understand that for the past month or so that you've been meeting with 3 members of the council, as that being Scott Kincaid, Delaware Hill, and Josh Freeman on a weekly basis. And Mr. Kincaid,
I've met with Councilman Healy several times. I mean, I'm open to meeting with any of you. And Councilman Lawler, I would just say, if you want a full briefing on the Carroll County project, I can have Howard Croft sit down, because he has done a